would you stand with us? Today we're celebrating the life and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Let's worship together and sing together. Come on. So there is a love I found. How do I explain it? People come and go. You're different. You're different. Look what he's done with me. You wouldn't believe it. I used to be dead inside. I'm different. I'm not who I was, all because of how you love me. Holy, worthy. Even in my weakness, you are faithful, able. Even when I'm lost, you prove that nothing compares to you. Nothing compares to you. I'm different now. You saw me drowning and you pulled me out. I'm different now. My tomb is open and I'm running out. I'm different now. The walls of my heart have come crumbling down. I'm different now. I'm not who I was, all because of how you love me. Holy, worthy. Even in my weakness, you are faithful, able. Even when I'm lost, you prove it. Nothing compares to you. Nothing compares to you. Holy, worthy. Even in my weakness, you are faithful, able. Even when I'm lost, you prove it. Nothing compares to you. Nothing compares to you. This morning, oh, nothing compares to you. Nothing compares to you. Come on. No, nothing compares to you. Let's go. We sing, you took my sin. You took my sin and traded me life. Buried my shame and ended my life. No one who knows me could ever deny. They found me dancing where I used to hide. My chains are broken, my heart is on fire. This is a soul when it's fully alive. You took my sin and traded me life. Buried my shame and ended my night. No one who knows me could ever deny. They find me dancing where I used to hide. My chains are broken, my heart is on fire. This is a soul and it's fully alive. You took my sin and traded me. Buried my shame and ended my night. No one who knows me could ever deny. They find me dancing where I used to hide. My chains are broken, my heart is on fire. This is a soul and it's fully alive. Holy, worthy. Even in my weakness, you are faithful, able. Even when I'm lost, you prove nothing compares to you. Nothing compares to you. Holy, worthy. Even in my weakness, you are faithful, able. Even when I'm lost, you prove it. Nothing compares to you. Nothing compares. Come on, lift your voices when they sing that out. Holy, worthy. Even in my weakness, you're faithful, able. Even when I'm lost, you prove that nothing compares to you. Come on, if you believe that, raise your voice. We sing it again. Holy, holy, worthy. Even in my weakness, you are faithful, able. Even when I'm lost, you prove nothing to the end of myself. I know that without you I'm broken. I put all the pieces of me at your feet. 'Cause what you speak is what I need. Hear my soul cry desperately. Here I am. I've come to the end of myself, and I need you and nothing else. Everything at your feet, the little things, everything in between. Surrendering every part of me. Everything, everything at your feet. You pulled me out of the dark. Now I'm running out in the open. I'm starting over again. Second chance to begin. Everything at your feet. The little things, everything in between. Surrendering every part of me. Everything, everything at your feet. Everything at your feet. The little things, everything in between. Surrendering every part of me. Everything, everything at your feet. You can have everything. You can have everything. Come on, let's lift this up together. Sing your forgiveness. 'Cause your forgiveness is freely offered. Never wavers, never falters. Leaving my past on the altar. I lay it down, I lay it down. All the broken put together. All the orphans, sons and daughters. Leaving our past on the altar. We lay it down, we lay it down. Your forgiveness is freely offered. Never wavers, never falters. Leaving our past on the altar. I lay it down, I lay it down. All the broken put together. All the orphans, sons and daughters. Leaving our past on the altar. We lay it down at your feet. All of me. Hear my soul cry desperately. Here I am. I've come to the end of myself. I need you and nothing else. Everything at your feet. The little things, everything in between. Surrendering every part of me. Everything, everything at your feet. Everything at your feet. The little things, everything in between. Surrendering every part of me. Everything, everything at your feet. Everything at your feet. The little things, everything in between. Surrendering every part of me. Everything, everything at your feet.
Wow, how beautiful. How
So beautiful.
what we are actually singing, that God laid everything for us, for you and us to meet Him and find life. Welcome to Mosaic.
Come on, Mosaic.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter, everyone.
We're so happy that you're here with us this morning.
My name is Carlos.
And I'm Soti.
We're campus pastors here in Hollywood, and thank you for being here today. Welcome home. I see so many faces of people that I know, and it just makes me so happy. Your mom is here, came from Puerto Rico.
Yes.
Hi, Ben. a lot of people that we love, and maybe this is your first time, second time, maybe you're here and you're like, you don't know what's happening. We're part of this beautiful community called Mosaic. We've been in this corner for over 10 years. And we're here because God called us to be in this place.
Yeah.
We're in this corner of Hollywood and La Brea, and we have a mission. Our mission is to let the world know of a hope that we have found in Jesus. And we want to be a voice of hope and love for every single person in this city.
Yeah.
So you being here today, you are a prayer answer for us.
Yes.
We've been praying for you before you step in here. And we're so glad that you're here with us today. We want to invite you to take a seat. If you take us as you do it, say hi to someone. Meet someone new. You might meet your husband, your wife. Take a risk. Go wild. I love it. I love it. And as you meet people, I also want to take a moment. You with me? I know I asked you to talk and meet people, and now I want your attention back. I need it, please. Listen, I also want to welcome everyone who's watching online, people from all over the world, people from Buenos Aires, Tokyo, Japan, wherever in the world, even including Ohio, and anywhere, Idaho. People watching from Idaho.
Idaho too.
Everywhere. I love that we get to be part of this global community, and you guys are here today getting to experience the beauty of Jesus.
Yes. And I just want to ask you, I know that every single person in this room has a phone. So can you pull out your phone really quickly? I want to ask you two things. One, can you please put it in silence? And the second thing...
That's the mom in you.
Yes, please.
Telling everyone, silence your phone.
Silence your phone,
It's
please.
Easter, guys, you're in church.
And the second thing, there is a QR code right in front of your chair. Please scan that. That's the way that you're gonna know all the things that are happening here at Mosaic. This is your first day with us, if this is your first time here at Mosaic. But we want to invite you to come to a second day with us, you know?
Second date.
Come back.
Yeah.
We want you to be part of Mosaic, be part of our community, and that's the way that you will know what's going on. And because we want you to come back, next Sunday, we have something called First Sunday. And that is happening literally every single first Sunday of the month. And it's for us to reset, to just reset for the whole month and think about the things that you want to do. And everything that we do here is intentional, okay? We're not just doing an event just because. And it's gonna be so fun. We're gonna have like a farmer's market. We're gonna have activities for families. But the most important thing of this day is for you to connect with other people and to find community. Our best friends we found here 12 years ago when we decided to step and be not shy and be like, hey, hi. And that was Joe and Beck for us. And I know that you have a Joe and Beck here for you, and you want to do life with us, and we want to do life with you. So find your friends, find your community.
I love it. Will you guys stand up with us? We have one more opportunity where we get to sing together, we get to worship together, and something that I want you to know, every song that you're hearing today, songs that our team, our worship team, MSC, we wrote for you. These are songs that they express our deep gratitude to Jesus. They express our deep understanding or our deep sense of this incredible love of a God that was able to step into human history for you and for me. So for the next couple of minutes, as we sing and as we step into this moment, I just want to invite you guys to allow this reality to sink in your heart. You already made it. You are here.
Yes.
Now you got to make a decision of what's going to be your posture this morning. Are you going to allow God to speak to you? Are you going to allow these songs to create a new framework for you?
Yeah.
Jesus came for us to give us life, to give us hope. And that is a beautiful thing. So as we sing, I just want to invite all of us, let's open our hearts and our minds to hear from Him. Let's worship together.
Let's do it.
He has walked upon the open waters. The sea was calm with just just a word from him. He has fought the raging war of sorrow, and when he speaks, a whisper shouts within. Come on, sing. I see a miracle. I see a miracle in an empty grave. The one we thought was dead has come to life again. I see a miracle in every chain you break. The power of heaven roaring within me. Oh, he's alive, he's alive.
He will lift the anxious and the weary, calling home the
burden and the lost, and I am proof that you delight in second chances. I am proof of the power in the cross. I see a miracle in an empty grave. The one we thought was dead has come to life again. I see a miracle in every chain you break. The power of heaven roaring within me. Oh, for love you rose triumphant. Oh, for love you all for love. You came back for me. Oh, for love. Oh, for love. Oh, for love. My name is worthy. Oh, for love. You come for love. Your scars cry mercy. Oh, for love. Oh, for love. It was all for love. It was all for love. And it's all about you. Oh, it's all about you. And it's all about you. Jesus, it's all about you. Oh, it's all about you. Come on, this is why we celebrate. It's all about you, Jesus. It's all about you. Oh, it's all about you, and it's all about you. It's all about you, and it's all about you. And it's all about you. Sing it's all about you. And all about you, all about you. 'cause it's all about you. It's all about you. And it's all about you. Oh. Jesus Christ, passion is his name. He traded all his glory for our shame. Like heroes in freedom from the ashes, we will rise from death to life again. I see a miracle in an empty grave. The one we thought was dead has come to life again. I see a miracle in every chain you break. The power of heaven roaring within me. I see a miracle. Oh, I see a miracle. Oh, I see a miracle. Oh, the power of heaven roaring within me. You guys can take a seat.
He is risen. You want to put this up here? Bring it up. Wow, what a beautiful, beautiful day to be together, to celebrate that 2,000 years ago, God stepped into human history on our behalf so that through his death we could live. And there's just something that resonates in all of our hearts. And it's the strangest thing. It resonates even when you do not believe. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in just a moment. But before we dive in, let's pray together. Father, thank you so much for this beautiful, glorious Easter Sunday. Thank you that not only are you the God who created time and space, but you do not leave us stranded in the midst of it. But you have entered into time and walked in our space. You've taken on our flesh and our blood and walked among us. And on this day we celebrate not what was seemingly impossible, because now we know that with you there is nothing impossible. But we celebrate what you came to do for us that would have been impossible without you. We thank you, Father, and we pray in Jesus' name. Amen. Come on, let's just thank God one more time for this beautiful Easter day. And you can have a seat. There's some stories that if they were not true, we would need them to be true. Kim could watch Sanditon, I think, 1,000 times. Because in the midst of that story, there's a romance, a love story, the promise that people will find each other when the odds are against them. And whether it's Sanditon or Notting Hill or Pride and Prejudice or The Notebook, it's interesting that we just keep writing stories of love and romance, of two people who should not find each other, somehow finding each other. It's because if there were no true love stories, we would need for there to be one. And so sometimes it feels as if the story is reflecting reality, and sometimes the story is promising us that though it's not our reality, it's still out there. Now, I'm not quite a Sanditon guy. I love Fury. I could watch Fury over and over again. It's the greatest love story I've ever seen. Because I need the story of a hero. I'm always looking for the story that lets me know that there's someone out there with more courage than me. someone who's willing to risk their life and to sacrifice, that has a level of bravery that goes beyond my comprehension. And while I'm in that story, whether it's Fury or Warrior or Saving Private Ryan or whatever it may be, if that story wasn't real, I would need it to be real. Because all of us are working our way through our own story. We're trying to understand who we are and how we fit into this space and time that we call reality. And then there's this story that makes today unique. It's a story that, if you were to just be honest with yourself, it's incredulous. It's sanity to believe this story could be true. That this story is true, that God would step into human history and walk among us and lived a perfect, beautiful, extraordinary human life. To live 33 years and to live in absolute innocence, and yet to be hated and despised and rejected and brutalized and beaten. We know this story. And we come together around the possibility that the creator of the universe somehow stepped into creation, lived the life that we were created to live but cannot, was crucified because of it, for no other guilt than to love us without condition, to be crucified and buried. And then the possibility, I hope you've taken a deep breath and realized that if you believe this, that it goes beyond belief. You should never judge your friends who do not believe. They're the rational ones. They're the ones that have actually made sense of this. But I want to propose to you that if this story wasn't real, we would need it to be real. Because all of us know that there's something torn inside of us. That there's a tear inside of the human spirit, that there's something broken inside of us that cannot find its healing, no matter where we go, no matter what we try, no matter what we do, no matter where we search. And some days we're better at pressing down the despair of it and the pain of it and the fear of it. But all of us know there's something wrong. And we don't understand how it's supposed to play out. Because if there is no God and if there is no bigger story, this story is tragic. And so if this story that Jesus has brought to us wasn't real, we would need it to be real, because we would need to find hope somewhere, that there can be healing in the deepest part of who we are. And it's an odd thing that even those who supposedly have given themselves to heal the human spirit, the human psyche, find this story to be incredibly offensive. If my memory serves me right, Sigmund Freud, when he opened up the first psychiatric office in the Western world, opened it on an Easter Sunday. That's a terribly non-strategic day to open a business. But he opened it on Easter Sunday to make a statement that we do not need God to find our healing. Sigmund's dead now, never finding healing, but desperately searching for it. And now, as we unwrap his life, we understand that here was a person who was so desperately broken that he gave up on the belief that there could be someone who could come into his story to bring healing to him. We are here in this moment because we've not given up on that hope, but we also, I think, have come to an honest realization that no matter how advanced we are, no matter how intelligent we are, no matter how gifted we are, no matter how we advance in the world of technology and artificial intelligence and human understanding, there's something inside of us that we cannot seem to get to that desperately needs to be healed. If it's true how poets describe you, that there's a universe inside of you, that you are a convergence of time and space, then you'd have to acknowledge that there is a tear in the fabric of time and space. That you and me, that we are that tear. That every day, even on our best days, we feel the tear as it tears at us and separates us. And isn't it odd that we have the hardest time doing the best things? You would think that loving each other would just be so easy, it would just come so naturally, that you know, some of you married the best spouse in the world, right? You have the best husband in the world. You have the best wife in the world, and they're still inadequate, right? I mean, you don't say that. I hope you didn't say it this morning, you know. You're the best, but you're just not enough, right? But every time you have a conflict, every time there's a disappointment, every time that you feel a separation between you, it's a reminder that even the greatest loves in this story that we're in are inadequate and not enough. And in the story of Jesus, and I want to highlight a few particular places, I want you to remember the people writing did not expect this to be true. I think it's important. A lot of people say, well, there's only one book that records the story of Jesus, and I'm going, well, that's actually not accurate. The Bible is 66 different books that are somehow interwoven together with a common theme. That's miraculous. That something that someone wrote generations before named Moses could somehow resonate with what someone writes generation later named Matthew. And these four particular individuals with Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and John, they're not one story. They don't even write the same things. Sometimes you wonder, were you in the same room listening to the same conversation? But that's the way reality works. If you have three people in a room, they all remember the story differently. They all remember different parts of the story. In fact, if they're all identical, you know they're just borrowing each other's memory. So it shouldn't surprise you that they're different, because the individuals remembering them are different. And Matthew writes this in chapter 27, beginning in verse 50. And when Jesus had cried out again in a loud voice, he gave up his spirit. At that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. The earth shook, the rock split, and the tomb broke open. The bodies of many holy people who had died were raised to life. They came out of the tombs after Jesus' resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared to many people. When the centurion and those with him who were guarding Jesus saw the earthquake and all that had happened, they were terrified and exclaimed, surely he was the Son of God. This is not one of the more commonly read passages around the resurrection and the crucifixion. And one of the reasons is because it's kind of incredulous, hard to believe. You start reading this, you start getting a little nervous. And I'm going, it's funny, we have a hard time believing this, but we believe in the resurrection. We are really odd. But it shouldn't surprise us that there's a convergence of experiences that are unexplainable. Because if this story is true, if God has entered into human history, if God, who created everything, now has become a created being, if God, who is the source of life, has allowed himself to be killed, there would be a tear in the fabric of time and space. Everyone who knows by growing up watching Back to the Future that you can't mess with these kinds of metaphysical dynamics. Every story of space travel, time travel tells us if you go back and meet yourself, it all falls apart. That if you're going to travel back in time or break the laws of physics, that you're messing with reality and it's not going to be the same again. How could we ever think that God, if he is the creator of all things, could step into creation and it not be disruptive? So Jesus releases his spirit. He takes his last breath. And it says, in that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn. And in that moment, the earth shook. And in that moment, the rock split. And in that moment, tombs broke open. And I just love the casual nature of the next line. The bodies of many holy people who had died were raised to life. By the way. the population of Jerusalem increased. And they were walking around. Where did they go? I mean, to where they used to live. Like, my house used to be here. But it didn't look like this 3,000 years ago. And it tells us that in that same moment, just verses later in Luke, he tells us that it was around noon in Luke 23:44. And darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon. So from noon to 3, darkness encompassed all the day. For the sun stopped shining. I love the way Luke writes this. Not we couldn't see the sun. He says the sun stopped shining. And the curtain of the temple was torn in two. And he says this again. It seems to have some significance. And Jesus called out in a loud voice, Father, into your hands I commit my spirit. And with that, he breathed his last. And so they knew there was something cosmic happening in that moment. And I want to submit to you that the moment Jesus died, the moment that the source of life gave his life up, there was a tear in the fabric of time and space. That if you could just take the beginning of time and then grab the end of time and fold it in half, it would break at the crucifixion. Because this is the moment where the tear in us would find its healing through the tear in him. It shouldn't surprise us that in this moment, all creation began to shake. The earth was trembling. It was as if it was nervous because something bigger than itself was happening. Have you ever been so nervous that you just couldn't stop shaking? In fact, have you ever been in a room where it feels super cold? And now you just can't stop shaking, and then you're nervous on top of that, and you just can't calm yourself down. I've been in those moments. I'm not sure if it's the cold or if it's in the room or the cold in my soul. I'm not sure which one's going on, but I've had moments where I just couldn't stop shaking because I'm so nervous. And I'm not surprised that the earth was shaking because it was, in a sense, expressing what we should have understood. That everything was being shaken. The time and space was being torn apart. And so then in this moment, you see something happening that's extraordinary. Light becomes darkness, day becomes night, the earth that is stable becomes unstable, and those who were dead are now walking among them, so the line between life and death is erased. You know, there's some concepts I think we kind of get. If I'm here, I'm not there, right? I mean, it's hard to know where there is if you're philosophical, but where here is, or maybe I am here and there, but I think we know that I'm here, so I'm not New York. I'm in LA, so I'm not New York. I'm in LA, so I'm not in Paris. I might want to be, but I'm here in LA, not in Tokyo. And so we know I'm either here or I'm there. You're either alive or you're dead, right? You are either here or you're not here. But when we think of there, we don't think that there doesn't exist. We just think we're not there. Just because I'm not in Paris doesn't mean Paris doesn't exist right now. Just because I'm not in Tokyo doesn't mean Tokyo does not exist right now. It's odd that so many people think just because you cease to exist in time and space that you're no longer somewhere. The idea of eternity shouldn't surprise us because we know that just because we're not there, just because we're here doesn't mean there does not exist. And here Jesus is cutting the line. You think there's a dividing line between life and death. And he says, I want you to understand, I am the dividing line between life and death. And so the dead were raised. Fortunately, it was very selective. It says, and many holy people, because it'd be like the California prison release program otherwise. But it says only holy people. People who actually had found life and hope and love and meaning in the very God who was crucified. And they appeared to many people. I like that little added. Many people. And when you're writing this, those people are still alive. See, we're reading this thousands of years later. They're writing this while those people were still alive. Going, yeah, I'm one of those many people. It was very strange. And then in verse 54 of Matthew 27, Matthew adds this. When the centurion, the Roman, the person who actually fulfilled Caesar's will, the person who had to declare Caesar is God, the person who was living his life under the authority of a man who claimed to be God. When the centurion saw, and those with him, not just him, but his soldiers who were guarding Jesus, saw the earthquake and all that had happened, they were terrified and exclaimed, surely he was the Son of God. So there's a tear. And this tear actually removes the separation. It removes the separation between life and death, between this moment and eternity. It removes the separation between Jew and Gentile. It removes every separation that would keep us from God. And in fact, when I saw that centurion's quote, I was reminded of one of the plot twists in this moment in Matthew 27, 62 through 66. And some of you, I'm sure, are aware of this, but others may be new. There were those who were concerned that the story of Jesus would become a permanent story through a lie. They understood the power of the story. It's interesting. They weren't sure if Jesus was real, but they knew the story was dangerous. In Matthew 27, verse 62, it says, the next day, the one after preparation day, the chief priests and the Pharisees went to Pilate. Sir, they said, we remember that while he was still alive, that deceiver said, after 3 days, I will rise again. It's strange how now they remember that. So give the order for the tomb to be made secure until the third day. Otherwise, his disciples may come and steal the body and tell the people that he has been raised from the dead. This last deception will be worse than the first. It sure will be. It will be worse than the first one. Because if the world comes to believe that God has stepped into human history, has been crucified, buried, and raised from the dead, it will change everything. Take a guard, Pilate said. Go make the tomb as secure as you know how. So they went and made the tomb secure by putting a seal on the stone and posting a guard. Posting the guard. So what I want you to remember and realize in this moment is that this story was sealed shut. They wanted to make sure this story didn't get out. They wanted to make sure that no one could ever fabricate this story. And so when people say, yeah, but it's just a story and it's just a myth and how can you believe this? And I just love the fact that God wanted to leverage everything in the direction of the story not getting out. To make sure you could know that everything was covered. All the bases were covered. The best soldiers in the world were there guarding the body of Jesus. And Jesus was always unpredictable. He really was. He never did what you expected. He never did things the way you thought he would do them. And he never followed the rules. He was unconventional, even with death. You just expected him to do something different than to stay dead. But why, if you were his disciple, would you steal the body? Why would you create a story that has betrayed you? You know what I've noticed on social media? When somebody breaks up with someone else, they never go on social media and tell you how awesome he was. They never do. I just want to tell you how great of a boyfriend he was. Oh, yeah, he broke up with me, he left me, he's not with me anymore, but he was just amazing. If you can go out with him, you should go out with him. He's just incredible, right? It just never happens, right? They Yelp score 5 stars, right? You never have a guy going, the guys don't usually go on social media doing it because they don't want to admit they've been broken up with, so they kind of go silent. But you just never see a guy going, oh yeah, she was incredible. She's the best person I ever dated. I don't know how I let her get away. If you can date her, you should go out with her 5 out of 5, and she loves sports, that's all I have to say. And she's educated, she has passion for life, and she's kind and gracious, and it just never happens. You never promote a story that's positive about someone that you feel has betrayed you. In fact, you forget every good thing they ever did. When you listen to someone talk about someone they used to date, you're like, well, why'd you date them? Right? All you remember is everything horrible about that person, and then you went back 4 times. Like, did you think he was going to change? Are you a masochist? And I don't know what I was thinking. What you were thinking was he was awesome. And so you went back 4 times, and that's the proof. You went back 4 times to her, and that's the proof. You see, the likelihood that the disciples would tell an incredibly beautiful story about Jesus after he had been lying to them for 3 years and betrayed them and died on a cross and was not the Messiah, the likelihood that they would say, hey, let's steal the body and create a movement, is the most absurd, ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Betrayal doesn't create loyalty. But belief does. The moment you cannot help but believe. The moment you're overwhelmed. In fact, if anything, they had to go against their natural inclination of disappointment and even disdain. Who did Jesus think he was, wasting 3 years of my life? That's how I would have felt. How about you? Judas was right. We were the fools. We didn't walk away fast enough. We paid too high of a price for his false ideals and narcissistic claims of divinity. No one would want to tell this story, because that's not a story we need. The story they needed was the one they could not imagine. The story they needed was the one they couldn't explain. But there is one imagery here that's really important, and I think it needs to be unwrapped. Back in Matthew 27, Matthew says, at that moment, the curtain of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom. It's kind of odd. Not only that it describes that the veil, the curtain in the temple was torn, but it tells us how it was torn, from top to bottom. And so I was just doing a little refresher course on the veil, on that curtain in the temple, because you might think it's like a small veil, a small curtain, but it's 60 feet long. That's immense, 30 feet wide. And as I was researching about how thick it was, they would talk about it being the thickness of the palm of a man's hand, so maybe around 4 inches thick, depending on whose hand. It was so massive and heavy that it would take around 300 priests to manipulate it and move it. Josephus, who was not a believer, he was actually a Jewish historian who then betrayed the Jews and became a Roman, and so he took on the name Flavius Josephus. He actually described that you could tie horses to each side and you could not tear this veil in half. And again, he wasn't trying to defend anything. He did not believe in Jesus. He just believed in the veil. He said, you could tie horses to each side and you could not pull it apart. In fact, this veil was thick because they believed that on the other side was the Holy of Holies, and if a person fell across that veil, that they would be killed by the presence of God. So that veil was heavy enough to protect you and keep you on the one side. And then only one time a year could that person chosen to be the high priest could actually cross into the Holy of Holies and supposedly have an encounter with God. But we know for 400 years at least, they would go in there, but there would be no meeting with God at all. The Holy of Holies was the promise of being in God's presence, and this veil was the reminder that there's a separation between God and humanity. And then when Jesus is crucified, the veil is torn in two, but it's torn from top to bottom because it was torn from heaven to earth. It was torn by the hands of God to the hearts of men. And in this moment, there was a tear in the fabric of time and space. And just when you think about the beautiful imagery in the Bible that just confounds all reason, that in that moment, we are told Jesus descended into hell and proclaimed freedom to all the captives. And this gives me so much hope, because heaven and hell are outside of time and space. And what the scriptures are actually telling us is that every person who ever was, and every person who was, and every person who would ever be in that space separated from God would actually have a face-to-face encounter with Jesus in the moment of his crucifixion and resurrection, and be invited out of that captivity. Because in this moment, Jesus made a tear in the fabric of time and space. And then for us, that tear changes everything. It's the tear that brings eternity to this moment for you. It's the tear that brings life into death for you and me. It's the tear that brings hope into our despair, faith into our doubt, love into our hate, life into our death. It's the tear that once kept God and you separate, and now nothing separates you from him. So it's an amazing thing. I would have loved to have seen it. The dead walking. Well, they're not dead anymore. The living walking who were dead. But if you could just understand one thing, that for God, time and space are small ingredients in his masterpiece of creation. God isn't smaller than time and space. Time and space is just the material from which he helps us find ourselves. See, it's time and space that he created so that we could have consciousness, so that we could be aware of our values, so that we could understand our responsibilities, so we could know that we're designed for love. Time and space is God's gift to you so that he can pour eternity into your soul. That's why now matters so much. Where time and space come together, where that tear in the fabric of time and space matters, is in that now when you say, Jesus, I finally see what you did. I finally get it. This is the story that had to be true, that had to be real, because I desperately need it. He tore the curtain in half so that he could heal the tear in you and in me. And Jesus is here even now, beyond time and space. Eternity is here in this moment. Can you feel him and sense the power of that eternal presence waiting for you to invite him into your now so that he can invite you into his eternal? That's who Jesus is. Jesus is the tear in the fabric of time and space, allowing himself to be torn into so that we might be healed. Would you bow your heads with me just for a moment? Close your eyes. 2,000 years ago, God stepped into human history. If you took the beginning of time in one hand and took the end of time in the other and bent all of time and space, it would break the cross. Because in that moment, God broke the divide between you and him. And all he waits for is for you to invite him to give you life, to give you forgiveness, to give you hope, to pour his love into you. If on this Easter Sunday you are ready to trust Jesus, who died for you and rose from the dead, to give you life, I want you to pray this simple prayer. Jesus, I give you my life. Right now, just tell him, Jesus, I give you my life. Jesus, I give you my life. If this is your prayer, I want to pray for you. If you just whispered that prayer, Jesus, I give you my life, I want you to raise your hand right now in this moment. Beautiful. Anyone else? Anyone else? Beautiful. Anyone else? Wonderful. Anyone else? So good. Jesus, I give you my life. Father, I thank you for those who in this moment have opened up their hearts and lives to you. I pray, God, that in this moment, there would be a rush of the eternal inside of their souls. That they would know that you are the one who heals the deep tear within us. That you are the God who brings hope and love and joy and life to dwell within us. Jesus, I pray that you would wrap them up in your love. Let them know they belong to you. That you will never leave them. You will never abandon them. That today is the beginning of eternity. We pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
What a special Easter Sunday that we just got to be a part of together. My name is Joe Smith. I'm one of our pastors here at Mosaic. And we know for a lot of you, today you made a choice to follow Jesus for the first time. And if that was you, we want to celebrate that with you. We want to welcome you to the family. And more importantly, we want to help you as you begin this new journey of faith. So if that's you, and today on Easter Sunday, you made a choice to follow Jesus, what I want you to do right now is to go to mosaic.org/follow Jesus. And there's going to be resources that we've created to help you in your faith. There's going to be an opportunity for you to fill out a form and let us know who you are so we can get to know you. And then someone on our team will follow up with you and help you as you start this new journey of faith. But more than anything, we just want to let you know, welcome home. Today, we are connected all around the world. We get to be a part of a global community that here on live stream, here today, we have people coming from all over joining us because there's something unique about what we're a part of here as Mosaic. And that doesn't happen by accident. It's not a coincidence. It happens because there's so many people that are living their lives with intention. And it is that intention that unites us, it brings us together. I love hearing the stories of people from all around the globe that call Mosaic home, that this is their tribe. And if that's you and you're joining us here, not just on an Easter Sunday, but you're joining with us on our mission to bring faith, hope, and love all around the globe, then I want to invite you right now to give with us here at Mosaic. There are thousands of people around this globe that believe in our mission and give generously, sacrificially, above and beyond. And I first want to say thank you if you're one of our givers. And if you're here and within the sound of my voice and you know Mosaic is your home, I want to encourage you to give with us as well. You can go to mosaic.org/give, and I hope you know that on the other side of every dollar you give is the story of a life that's been transformed by the person of Jesus. Mosaic, today has been really beautiful, really special. I love that our live stream is back. Our global imprint is back, and we want to stay connected to you every single week. So make sure that you subscribe, you stay connected, you plugged in, you're involved in all the things happening, and we will see you back here next week.